The Doomsday Glacier, a ticking time bomb. Antarctica, a continent of icy majesty, holds the fate of our planet in its frozen heart. At the forefront of this narrative sits Thwaites Glacier, a colossal river of ice larger than Florida, dubbed the Doomsday Glacier for a reason. Thwaites Glacier acts as a buffer, holding back the massive West Antarctic ice sheet from collapsing into the ocean. However, this frozen sentinel is under siege, its icy grip weakening under the relentless assault of a warming world. The stability of this glacier is paramount to our planet's future, and its potential collapse poses an existential threat to coastal communities and ecosystems worldwide. Thwaites Glacier is melting at an alarming rate, losing billions of tons of ice each year. This accelerating meltwater discharge contributes directly to global sea level rise, threatening to reshape coastlines and displace millions. The consequences of inaction are dire, demanding immediate attention and unprecedented global cooperation. The future of our planet hinges on our ability to heed the warnings echoing from the icy plains of Antarctica. Unveiling the crisis satellite data speaks volumes. Recent satellite data paints a grim picture of Thwaites Glacier's plight. Advanced satellite imagery reveals the alarming pace of its retreat and the disintegration of its ice shelves, crucial barriers that hold back the glacier's flow into the ocean. These once stable ice shelves are weakening and fracturing at an unprecedented rate, sounding the alarm for scientists worldwide. Warm ocean currents fueled by climate change are eroding the glacier from beneath, exacerbating the melting process. This two-pronged attack from above and below is pushing Thwaites Glacier closer to a point of no return. The implications of these findings are profound. The satellite data confirms our worst fears. Thwaites Glacier is in a state of rapid decline. The rate of melting is accelerating, exceeding even the most pessimistic predictions. The scientific community is united in its concern over the fate of Thwaites Glacier. It is a call to action, a plea for immediate and decisive measures to avert a catastrophe. The domino effect global consequences of Thwaites' demise. The demise of Thwaites Glacier would have catastrophic consequences far beyond the icy plains of Antarctica. Its collapse would trigger a chain reaction, destabilizing the entire West Antarctic ice sheet and unleashing a torrent of meltwater into the ocean. This would result in a significant rise in global sea levels, inundating coastal cities and displacing millions. Rising sea levels will erode coastlines, displace communities, and threaten critical infrastructure, leading to economic devastation and social upheaval. The loss of coastal ecosystems, such as mangroves and coral reefs, would further exacerbate the crisis. Furthermore, the influx of fresh water from the melting glacier would disrupt ocean currents, impacting weather patterns and marine life globally. Changes in ocean salinity and temperature could disrupt fish populations, affecting food security for millions who depend on the ocean for sustenance. The ripple effects of Thwaites Glacier's demise would be felt across the globe, impacting every aspect of life as we know it. We must act now to mitigate climate change and protect the delicate balance of our planet's ecosystems. A world underwater sea level rise and coastal cities. The most immediate and tangible consequence of Thwaites Glacier's melting is the inexorable rise in global sea levels. Coastal cities, home to a significant portion of the world's population, are particularly vulnerable to this threat. The inundation of low-lying areas would displace millions, creating a humanitarian crisis of unprecedented scale. Imagine entire cities submerged beneath the waves, their iconic landmarks swallowed by the rising tide. From the bustling streets of Miami to the ancient canals of Venice, coastal communities face an existential threat. The economic cost of such devastation would be immeasurable, as infrastructure, businesses, and homes are lost to the sea. The human cost is even more profound. Displacement, loss of livelihood, and the disruption of cultural heritage would have devastating consequences for communities and individuals alike. Building seawalls, relocating critical infrastructure, and investing in renewable energy sources are crucial steps to mitigate the impacts of sea level rise. Addressing the root cause of the problem, climate change, is paramount to securing a livable future for coastal communities worldwide. Section 5. Extreme weather, displaced lives, the human cost of inaction. The melting of Thwaites Glacier is not an isolated event. It is a symptom of a much larger crisis: climate change. As global temperatures rise, extreme weather events such as hurricanes, droughts, and heat waves will become more frequent and severe. These events will displace communities, disrupt food production, and exacerbate existing inequalities, leading to widespread suffering. The human cost of climate change is already being felt around the world. From the devastating floods in Bangladesh to the prolonged droughts in East Africa, millions are suffering the consequences of our inaction. The loss of life, livelihoods, and homes is a stark reminder of the urgency of the situation. Marginalized communities, who have contributed the least to the climate crisis, are often the most vulnerable to its impacts. Their voices and experiences must be at the forefront of the fight for climate justice. We must act now to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, transition to renewable energy sources, and build a more sustainable and equitable future for all. Section 6. Echoes of our actions. Climate change is the culprit. The rapid melting of Thwaites Glacier is a stark reminder that climate change is not a distant threat, but a present reality. The science is unequivocal. Human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels, are the primary drivers of global warming. The consequences of our actions are now playing out on a global scale, threatening the delicate balance of our planet's ecosystems. The insatiable appetite for energy, fueled by the burning of coal, oil, and gas, has released billions of tons of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, trapping heat and warming the planet. This warming effect has far-reaching consequences, from melting glaciers and rising sea levels to more extreme weather events and disruptions to agricultural cycles. We have a moral imperative to act now, to break free from our dependence on fossil fuels and transition to a clean energy future. The time for denial is over. The time for action is now. Section 7. A call to arms, the urgency for global action. The crisis unfolding in Antarctica is a clarion call for global action. We can no longer afford to ignore the warning signs. The time for incremental change has passed. We need bold, transformative action to address the root cause of the problem, climate change. This requires a fundamental shift in our energy systems, our economic models, and our way of life. The Paris Agreement, adopted by nearly 200 countries in 2015, was a historic step in the right direction. It set a target of limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, preferably 1.5 degrees, compared to pre-industrial levels. However, current commitments are insufficient to meet this target. We need more ambitious goals and concrete plans to achieve them. We must hold our leaders accountable for their promises and demand bold action on climate change. The future of our planet hangs in the balance. Section 8. Rewriting our future sustainable practices for a cooler planet. Addressing the climate crisis requires a fundamental shift in our relationship with the planet. We must move away from extractive industries and embrace sustainable practices that prioritize the health of our ecosystems and the well-being of all people. Investing in renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and geothermal is crucial to decarbonizing our energy systems. We must also prioritize energy efficiency measures to reduce our overall energy consumption. Transforming our food systems is another critical step towards a more sustainable future. Industrial agriculture is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions and deforestation. We must shift towards agroecological practices that promote soil health, biodiversity, and carbon sequestration. Section 9. Power to the people. Collective action for climate justice. The fight against climate change is not just about science and technology, it is about justice. Those who have contributed the least to the problem are often the most vulnerable to its impacts. We must stand in solidarity with frontline communities and demand climate justice for all. Grassroots movements around the world are leading the charge for climate action. From the youth-led climate strikes to indigenous-led resistance against extractive industries, people are demanding a just and equitable transition to a sustainable future. The power of collective action cannot be underestimated. We must stand together, united in our commitment to creating a just and sustainable future for all. Section 10. From awareness to action. Every effort counts. The scale of the climate crisis can feel overwhelming, leaving individuals feeling powerless. However, it is important to remember that every effort counts. Each action we take, no matter how small, contributes to a larger movement for change. Reducing our carbon footprint through individual actions, such as choosing sustainable transportation options, reducing meat consumption, and conserving energy at home, is a crucial step. Supporting businesses and organizations that prioritize sustainability and ethical practices is another powerful way to make a difference. Engaging in political actions such as contacting elected officials, supporting pro-environmental policies, and participating in peaceful protests is essential for creating systemic change. Section 11. Our shared responsibility: securing a sustainable future. The melting of Thwaites Glacier is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet and the profound consequences of our actions. It is a call to action, a plea for collective responsibility, and a test of our humanity. The future of our planet and the well-being of generations to come depends on the choices we make today. We must move beyond the rhetoric of individual responsibility and embrace the need for systemic change. This requires holding our leaders accountable, demanding bold policies, and transforming our economic systems to prioritize sustainability and well-being over endless growth and profit. The climate crisis is a complex challenge, but it is not insurmountable. We have the knowledge, the tools, and the ingenuity to create a more sustainable and just future. The time for action is now. The future is in our hands.